Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room and welcome back to part 2 of doing this card. Now I must apologise because I left one step off. When I left you, we had done the background stamp and we'd sponged it. But one thing that I forgot to show you was using this. I sponged the sea and the sand, but what I do then is I get the sea image from the high tide and I just use soft sky. It's a very simple technique, but it just adds a bit of texture to the background sponge. So all I do is I just stamp it over where I want the sea to be, and it does make a huge difference. So after doing all that sponging with the brayer, I forgot to show you this final step, so I do apologise for that. Now that's with the soft sky, and then I took some Sahara sand, which we sponged the sand with, and then using this image, which is the sand, and it's got a little gap there, which is where the lighthouse fits. So when we're sponging the sand, that piece there needs to be upside down, so you're just stamping that piece there. So then we just stamp into the Sahara sand, and then with the stamp upside down we're just going to sponge, and it just gives you that added effect that it is actually sand, and it's not just a sponged space, and it does add a lot of texture to your card, ready for us now to finish it off and do the next step. Okay, so the next step, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the lighthouse. So we're going to be using these two images here from the high tide. So I just bring my Stamparatus over. Just move a few things out the way. Now I'm going to be just stamping, that's all you're going to be seeing, but I do like to put a stamp case underneath it, so that when I'm stamping, pressuring on that stamp, I'm not bending this plate backwards. It's got something to lever on as I'm stamping. And then coming from this direction, this is the great thing with the Stamparatus. You've actually got 4 platforms that you can stamp on. So I've got the second image, because it's a 2-step stamping, I've got the second image all ready to stamp as well. So I will also put a stamp case under that one as well. Okay, so we'll bring in our stamped image, and because I'm using photopolymer first, I do need to have that piece of sponge on my stamp. And I did have my magnet, there it is. So I'm just going to pop that there. It does, the Stamparatus does come with 2 magnets. I find one is strong enough, so it's just a personal thing. So you just position the lighthouse where you want it, but because we're going to be stamping a girl standing on the beach, we want the lighthouse to be a bit higher than the sand. So just keep that in mind. So firstly, I'm going to take the Early Espresso and I'm going to stamp that. And having that case under there is good because it just gives me that leverage. And we're just going to bring that down and really press hard. So just need to press at the top. So we've got that image there. So we've finished with, I might just take that off, but we finished with the first lighthouse, and now I'm going to use this image here. So I'm going to be using this image here, and I'm going to stamp that in Rich Raspberry, and that's our 2-step stamping. Just remove a little bit with the cotton bud. It most probably wouldn't have transferred, but you don't want to take that chance. So then we need to press down on that so get a good coverage. And I might just stamp that once more. It was a good coverage, but I just would like the Rich Raspberry to be a little bit more bolder on the lighthouse. So I'm just going to press down. And I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to remove that, just wipe that with my chamois. Okay, so there we've done the lighthouse. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to use, where is it? This you can't quite see that. The flying birds here. I'm just going to use an acrylic block for those, and I'm just going to pop them across the acrylic block, and what I want to do is stamp them. I'll actually move that down a little bit because actually what I'll do first is stamp my image because I have that ready. Because I wanted that to be up near the moon. So I like to use VersaFine Onyx Black when I'm doing a sentiment. It's a really lovely bold black. And then I'm just going to press down, because it's photopolymer, you need to really press hard on that, and see that sentiment's just, I'm really happy with that sentiment. So we'll take that off, and then I will need to bring this down a little bit, And I'm just going to put them across like that. So I'm going to get the VersaFine ink once again in Onyx Black. And it has to be a good crisp image because I'm not using the Stamparatus, so I can't restamp. So whatever goes down is how it is. So I'm just going to place that so they're flying in over the moon, just down, try not to rock it, and just a really good pressure. And that's just wonderful. I'm always nervous using the acrylic block. I do much prefer to use the Stamparatus because I can always go back in and restamp. So that's the moon done, that's the birds and the lighthouse. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the lady on the beach. So I'm being careful not to forget to do anything. So the Beautiful You set comes in a 2 CD stamp set. So you get 3 different ladies and you get lots of sentiments, and there's even a couple of background stamps that you can use there as well. But we're using this one with the umbrella because she's on the beach. It's a bit rainy day. So because now I'm not using photopolymer stamp, I need to remove the foam pad. Just pop that onto there. And I've already got her positioned on my other plate, so I'm going to pop that down there. Just pop the case under there to give me some leverage. And once again using the VersaFine Onyx Black, and I do like the little cube size when I'm using the Stamparatus, or whatever positioning tool you use. I did used to use a Misty until Stampin' Up brought this out, and I really love this one because it's got 4 platforms. By lifting them out and turning them round, you can do a lot with it, and it's wonderful for 2-step stamping. So we just want a really good crisp, so I might restamp her up because remember we are stamping on a heavily sponged area, so I really want a really good crisp image. So just press that down. So quite happy with how that's turned out. So that's our scene so far. So all we need to do now is paper pierce the lady. So we'll just remove the Stamparatus. So I will put a link to a video on paper piecing, just in case you don't know what it is. But literally what it is I stamp this image, the lady image, onto some DSP, and then I cut it out, and then it's instead of colouring, because we've heavily sponged there, you can't really colour her with anything. The only way you could would be if you stamped the image and then fussy cut it out, then you could colour it. So I've stamped her dress on some DSP and cut it out, and now I'm going to stick that onto there, and I've also done the same thing with the umbrella. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this technique done before, but I will leave the link to another video showing you how I've paper pierced, just in case you're not familiar with that technique. So it's a great technique. So you can, you could do it with flowers, anything. The ideal doing it with flowers would be awesome, because you could just do, if you had like a daisy, you could do all different colours. And it's just endless, the things that you could do with it. So then that's her umbrella stuck on. So that wasn't too painful, I hope, and I hope the video didn't go too long for you. So then all you do then would be to stick that onto a base of your card, whatever colour you would like. So I hope you found that video helpful, and I really hope you will give it a try. Even if you haven't got these stamp sets, just take the techniques and use your stamp sets and create a scene. You will be really surprised how wonderful it turns out when you use 2 or 3 stamp sets together. So I hope that's helpful, and thank you once again for joining me today. I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. Until next time, happy crafting.